Okay, today we're going to talk about gender in American society, masculinity versus femininity. Let's first go over the history of gender. Social status of women before first wave feminism was a lot different than now. They were known as the housewife. They stayed at home, took care of the kids, cleaned, and they were dependent on the husband for every little thing, financial, housing, on everything. And they had less opportunities in the workforce. It was a male-dominated field, really. And the social status of men before first wave of feminism. They were known as a working husband. Every male who was married was working, had a job. And they were dominating jobs, so always dominating higher up CEO jobs. And they were known as a supporter of the home because they're the only ones that had a job in the house. Now, how social status changed for women over time. Now, women have higher paying management jobs. They're able to have more opportunities to go higher up in the scale in the workforce. They have independence now. They don't need to rely on a working husband to pay their bills and put food on the table. But yet, they're still inferior than men in the workforce. They get paid about 77 cents per every dollar a male gets paid. Now let's talk about masculinity versus femininity. Masculinity, what is masculinity seen in society? Is dominance. And it has a high value in society. It has a higher value than what femininity does. They have less value and is viewed as weak in society. And that's why we put that with women, because they're viewed as weaker than men. Now, language. How do you express masculinity and femininity with language? Well, language, a masculine is being aggressive. Your language is more aggressive, loud, and assertive. And feminine, which mostly women have, is more passive or nurturing and calming way. Now, society's views. Men equals masculine, women equals feminine. Men equal feminine and women equal masculine, that's viewed as taboo. You don't see that a lot, and society judges when they do see it. A feminine man is criticized very much in society. They're called gay, weak, unmanly, and a sissy. A masculine woman seen in society is known as unattractive, lesbian, and men are threatened by a masculine woman, and they're also called tomboys. I took an informal poll on South Mount Community College, and it was about tomboys and sissy. And I asked men two questions. Did they ever wish they were girls when growing up? Why or why not? Were they ever considered sissies when growing up? If so, why? And the women, I asked if they ever wanted to be a guy growing up. Why or why not? And were they ever considered tomboys when growing up? And when I asked these questions, I specifically looked at their reactions, their facial reactions, and their answers, and I analyzed each one. The reactions, the men were more tough when I asked if they ever wanted to be girls when they were growing up. They answered no. I always want to be a guy. And they usually told me stories of how they were manly. And they had a kind of like a disgusted face. They were all ever called a sissy or anything, because they're just trying to be more, show their dominance. And women, they were more proud when answering that if they ever wanted to be a male growing up. They usually said no. They were proud answering that. They were saying, no, I like being a woman. And they had a shocked face. They were called tomboy or anything. Like a shock where they didn't want to be called tomboys, like they were offended. Most answers that I got from women when I asked if they ever wanted to be boys when they were growing up, they almost answered no. And a majority were not considered tomboys. Most of the men answered no when I asked if they wanted to be girls when growing up. But none were considered to be sissies. They always said that they were never called sissies, and they've always liked to do what they call guy things or boy things, which is play with trucks and Hot Wheels, and they backed up their answer more because I think they felt offended or threatened if they do admit it to me, if they were ever called sissies or girls when growing up. And that's my video.